Personal fulfillment, self-improvement. Man is a free agent and can choose and determine his actions. Man is never forced against his will to do anything. Transmitting knowledge to others. Remove tight clothing and shoes for better circulation. Press thumb and first 2 fingers at the base of the skull. Take a deep breath and hold it, then slowly exhale. Repeat the breathing exercise several times. This helps discharge excess psychic energy and eases tension. Great writers, composers, artists, and inventors employ psychic energy to gain inspiration and raise their level of awareness. Tap into a source of inspiration beyond intellect. Psychometry, the ability to perceive information about an object through touch. Noetic effects are states of insight and deep comprehension. Creativity is a complex mental process that involves the intentional direction of motivation. It can be approached from philosophical, psychological, and practical viewpoints. When we think of creativity, we often associate it with bringing something into existence, whether it is a substance or just a form. However, creativity can also be seen as the generation of original ideas, regardless of whether they acquire substance or form. These creative ideas are often spontaneous and credited to the subconscious processes of intuition. Negative thoughts can have a detrimental effect on creativity, as they can be transmitted from one person's mind to another. It is important for individuals to control any tendency to be overbearing towards others about their studies, as this can hinder the creative process. Overall, creativity is a multifaceted concept that involves the generation of original ideas and the ability to bring them into reality. The process of seeking inspiration involves tapping into a higher source of ideas and knowledge that is accessible to all individuals. This higher level of consciousness, often referred to as the rain cloud of knowable things, contains a wealth of new ideas, melodies, pictures, and techniques that can be accessed with little effort. It is believed that humanity is now at a stage where we are ready to receive these inspirations and bring them into physical manifestation. This ability to seek and receive inspiration can be developed by anyone, regardless of their position, authority, power, or skill. The term venenum is derived from Venus and means a love potion. Beneficium means poisoning and practicing sorcery. The paper focuses on poisoning and its various meanings. Venom Tech has been researching venom for drug discovery for over a decade. Venom has potential for successful delivery of leads for drug discovery. Ashira is associated with sacred trees and idolatrous worship. Gall, N.1. Bile, liver secretion, gall, bile, source also of Old Norse gall, bile, sour drink, Old Saxon gal, Old High German gala, German gal, from pie root *gel, to shine, with derivatives denoting green, yellow, and thus, bile, gall. Informal sense of impudence, boldness first recorded American English 1882, but meaning embittered spirit, rancor is from c. 1200, from the old medicine theory of humors. Marira or marora or. The poison of serpents, Job 20 verse 14. Rosh, or, generally translated gall in Hosea 10 verse 4 rendered hemlock, in Deuteronomy 32 verse 33, and Job 20 verse 16, it denotes the poison or venom of serpents. The bitter secretion gall. In the story of Tobit, the gall of a fish is said to have been used to cure his father's blindness, Tobit 6:8, Tobit 11:10, Tobit 11:13. Venom, N. Etymology of venom. Mid 13c, venom, poison secreted by some animals and transferred by biting, from Anglo-French and Old French venom, venin poison, malice, from Vulgar Latin *venemen, source also of Italian veleno, Spanish veneno, from Latin venenum poison, earlier, pre-classical, drug, medical potion, also charm, seduction, probably originally love potion, strive for. Variously deformed in post-Latin languages, apparently by dissimilation. The meaning bitter, virulent feeling or language is first recorded c. 1300. Based on the ancient French venom, in reference to the Latin venenum, from which the Italian veleno and even a first version in Spanish as veneno are also derived and then consolidated as a venom, with respect to potions that attract, impress, heal or kill, being seen as aphrodisiacs, magical, medicinal or toxic, for example a recipe capable of attracting a person's love. A selection of herbs to help treat a cold or a substance extracted from an animal and placed on a sword to contaminate the enemy. From the root in the Indo-European *win for desire or craving. Explore the Romans' interest in the goddess Venus, equivalent to Aphrodite in Greek culture. Its adjective is identified in the Latin venosus. Likewise, the linguistic nucleus has influence presenting itself in the construction of virus, seen in the Latin virus, venerate, given by the Latin venerare, or venial, ruled by the Latin venialis. From Middle English venum, venom, and c. From Anglo-Norman venum, venom, venomy, and c. From Old French venom, venin, and c. From Vulgar Latin *venemen, venom, from Latin venenum, juice, venom, from Proto-Italic *venesnom, lust, desire. From Proto-Indo-European *wen, to strive, wish, love, see also Sanskrit, venati, gain, wish, lust, and Latin Venus, Roman goddess of love. The respective ie roots of the terms venom and poison, when and poi refer to desire or the act of ingesting liquids. The origin of the term venom is associated with polytheistic cults that emphasized attainment of desires, sometimes assisted by love potions, a term later interpolated with the word poison. Specific interpretation of the term venom has varied since its first probable use in the mid-13th century. Veleno, sp veneno, from L. venenum poison, earlier, pre-classical, drug, potion, probably originally love potion, from pie *wainsno and thus connected to Venus erotic love, see Venus, cf Venus, socket van wish, desire, gained off the meaning bitter, virulent feeling or language is first recorded c. 1300. Little information about the Mediterranean survived from early Roman religion, although the tradition itself did. Compare H. 6253. Ashtoreth equals *1, the principal female deity of the Phoenicians worshipped in war and fertility 1a, also Ishtar of Assyria and Astarte by the Greeks and Romans, potion, n. c. 1300, potion medicinal drink, dose of liquid medicine or poison, from Old French potion, draught, medicine, 12c. From Latin potionem, nominative potio, a potion, a drinking, also poisonous draught, magic potion, source also of Spanish potion, ponzona poison, Italian pozione potion, from potus, irregular past participle of podar, to drink, from pie root *p, to drink. A doublet of poison, n. By early 15c. Specifically as a magical or enchanted drink. Asherah, H equals groves, for idol worship. 1. A Babylonian Astarte, Canaanite goddess, of fortune and happiness, the supposed consort of Baal, her images. 1a. The goddess, goddesses. 1b. Her images. 1c. Sacred trees or poles set up near an altar. Halal, in the sense of brightness, the morning star Lucifer. In Roman folklore, Lucifer, light-bringer in Latin, was the name of the planet Venus, though it was often personified as a male figure bearing a torch. The Greek name for this planet was variously Phosphoros, also meaning light-bringer, or Hieosphoros, meaning dawn-bringer. Hamelektzur? The earliest known use of venom in medicine dates back to 380 BC in ancient Greece. Aristotle's Historia Animalium describes how venom can be used in the production of antidotes for the venom. Despite this, early uses of venom were primarily involved in the process of making antidotes. This use of venom continued into the Middle Ages and well into the 19th century. The first modern study of venom in a medical light occurred in the late 19th century. A scientist, Albert Calmet, injected animals with small amounts of venom, using their blood as the antidote. The word venenum is derived, according to Wald, from Venus and means a love potion. It has three meanings from actual usage, remedy, poison, and magic drug or abortive. Beneficium means poisoning and practicing sorcery, while veneficus or venefica was applied to a poisoner or maker of drugs. However, in this paper we are primarily concerned with poisoning. By the oath of Hippocrates, physicians swore never to administer a poison to anyone when asked to do so. That the word venenum, venom, is derived from Venus and originally meant a love potion. In actual usage it later had three meanings: remedy, poison, and magic drug or abortive. In fact, venenum is such an ambiguous word that jurists demanded that the user of the word venenum must add whether it is beneficial or harmful. The Greek word pharmakon likewise referred to herb or drug in general, without distinguishing between its beneficial or harmful effects. Beneficium meant poisoning or practicing sorcery, while veneficus or venefica referred to a poisoner or preparer of drugs. The word selus, crime, is actually used by historians like Tacitus to indicate murder by poison. Poisons were also used for suicide. Royalty in particular kept a supply for emergencies. Pliny considered it quite proper for the infirm elderly to end his or her miserable life by taking poison, and opium in particular. How did you come to be cut to the ground, conqueror of nations? Bitter, adj. Old English biter, having a harsh taste, sharp, cutting, angry, full of animosity, cruel, from Proto-Germanic * bitras, source also of Old Saxon bitar, Old Norse bitter, Dutch bitter, Old High German bitar. Evidently the meaning drifted in prehistoric times from biting, of pungent taste, to acrid tasting. Used figuratively in Old English of states of mind and words. Related, bitterly. Do not despise one who is bitter of soul. Remember that there are those who are exalted and those who are humbled. Gall. In Acts the Greek chol is translated bitterness, while in Matthew 27 verse 34 it is translated gall. The root word implies a substance of a greenish hue, like liver bile, while in Matthew's account of the crucifixion it is a decoction of some product in wine, likely derived from a plant. Kali, 1, bile, gall. 2. In the ot used of other bitter things, 2a, wormwood, 2b, possibly myrrh. Chol, gall, a bitter herb, bile, gall. In the ot it is also used of other bitter things, 4, wormwood. Gall, feminine of an equivalent perhaps akin to the same as Chloe, from the greenish hue. Gall or bile, i.e., by analogy, poison or an anodyne, wormwood, poppy, etc., gall. Peter uses the term gall in rebuking Simon the sorcerer in Acts 8 verse 23. This sorcerer had witnessed the power of the Holy Spirit and saw it as a means to financial gain. Simon viewed God's Spirit as a superpower he could use for his own purposes. In response to Simon's request for the Holy Spirit, vinegar mingled with gall, according to Matthew 27 verse 34, and wine mingled with myrrh, according to Mark's account, Mark 15 verse 23. Mark explains the bitter ingredient in the sour vinous drink to be myrrh. In the Bible, the word gall might refers to a bitter-tasting substance made of a plant such as wormwood or myrrh. Wormwood, also known as mugwort. Wormwood. Artemisia vulgaris. Ukrainian word for Artemisia vulgaris, being Chernobyl. Then he warns the people to guard against idolatry, lest there should be among you a root that beareth gall and wormwood. In other words, whatever attraction idolatry may hold, it will have bitter, unsavory consequences. However, Jeremiah does not end there. Through the rest of chapter 3, the author reminds us that, even in times when we feel we've been given gall to drink, there is reason for hope in God. Pikria. Phonetic spelling, pikria. Definition, bitterness. Usage, bitterness, harshness, hence met, and embittered, resentful, spirit. Transliteration, merry. Phonetic spelling, merry e. Definition, rebellion. Original word, part of speech, verb. Transliteration, mara. Phonetic spelling, mora. Definition, to be contentious or rebellious. To be contentious or rebellious, became disobedient, bitter, disobedient, disobeyed, provocation, rebel, rebelled, rebellious, rebels, very rebellious. Bitter, change, be disobedient, disobey, grievously, provocation, provoking. A primitive root, to be, causatively, make, bitter, or unpleasant, figuratively, to rebel or resist, causatively, to provoke, bitter, change, be disobedient, disobey, grievously, provocation, provoke, be, rebel, against, lius. Smyrnizo, to be like myrrh, to mingle with myrrh. Original word, definition, to be like myrrh, to mingle with myrrh. Usage, I mingle with myrrh. Myrrh, properly, mingle with myrrh, a bitter herb given to help deaden the pain of criminals sentenced to crucifixion. Wine mixed with gall was commonly offered to dying criminals as a pain deadener. This cheap wine was routinely given to people condemned to brutal execution, to mix and so flavor with myrrh. But since the ancients used to infuse myrrh into wine in order to give it a more agreeable fragrance and flavor, we must in this matter accept Matthew's account, Matthew 27 verse 34, viz. Mingled with gall, as by far the more probable. Mingle with myrrh. From Smyrna, to tincture with myrrh, i.e., embitter, as a narcotic, mingle with myrrh. The Marsi, or traveling people, were at one end of the production chain. Inhabiting the Abruzzi, central mountainous area of Italy, they had a reputation of being wild and warlike with strange and archaic religious practices. They lived in poverty, were excellent soldiers in the Roman army, but their only civilian attributes lay in almost legendary magical powers as snake hunters and charmers, and druggists. In many ways they were marginal people, who paid periodic visits to the cities, selling their wares in the markets and performing daring acts as snake charmers. They were reputed to have immunity against snake venom, and Galen admits to consulting them on the value of drugs and antidotes. The Scilai, Nazimones and Paleo-Thebans were similar peoples living elsewhere in the Mediterranean region, respected for their skills with drugs. The so-called root cutters, rhizotomoi, were much more acceptable to society as true herbalists who knew and collected plant products, which were sold to physicians and other interested parties. Some of them were recognized experts, including the respected 1st century BC pharmacologist, Critias, assistant to Mithridates. Most large cities had quarters frequented by the sellers of drugs, including those inducing euphoric trances and poisons, and hawkers, called an agurts, the man who attracts a crowd, or oklagogos, seducer of the crowd, as well as physicians in search of remedies, and a motley crowd in search of pleasures associated with the variety of ointments, perfumes and spices. Gradually the drug trade became very lucrative. In addition to the Greek word he has Latin venenum poison, earlier drug, medical potion, source of Spanish veneno, French venin, English venom, and Old English lybb. Meaning the use or administration of drugs is from c. 1400. The sense of art or practice of preparing, preserving, and compounding medicines and dispensing them according to prescriptions is from 1650s. That of place where drugs are prepared and dispensed is recorded by 1833. The so-called root cutters, rhizotomoi, were much more acceptable to society as true herbalists who knew and collected plant products, which were sold to physicians and other interested parties. Some of them were recognized experts, including the respected 1st century BC pharmacologist, Critias, assistant to Mithridates. Most large cities had quarters frequented by the sellers of drugs, including those inducing euphoric trances, and poisons, and hawkers, called an agurts, the man who attracts a crowd, or oklagogos, seducer of the crowd, as well as physicians in search of remedies, and a motley crowd in search of pleasures associated with the variety of ointments, perfumes and spices. Gradually the drug trade became very lucrative and expanded by way of contact with the Far East, Egypt, Arabia, North Africa, and Spain. In Rome these imported products were stored in apothecary, derived from a Greek word which literally means storeroom, where the storeman, apothecarius, would list them. In ancient cultures, women herbalist perfumers working in palaces and guilds prepared both holy incense and secular perfumes. Myrrh was a regular part of these preparations, which could take the form of aromatic waters, oil-based infusions, or high-alcohol content wine. In the medical realm, Sumerian inscriptions show that myrrh was used to treat intestinal worms and was applied topically to teeth and gums. The Egyptian Ebers papyrus, circa 1500 BCE, notes that myrrh, along with frankincense, was used to treat wounds and skin sores, and as part of the embalming ointment used in mummification. Dioscorides, the Greek physician, suggested myrrh's use for coughs, as well as infections of the eyes, teeth, and mouth. Myrrh was included in the Roman preparations mendicium, a liniment for aching muscles, and mora, a perfume also used as a hair tonic and skin cleanser. Kali, 1, bile, gall. 2. In the ot used of other bitter things, 2a, wormwood 2b, possibly myrrh. Bnei homeri, sons of rebellion. More, myrrh. More, myrrh original word, part of speech, noun masculine transliteration, more phonetic spelling, more, definition, myrrh. Myrrh or more, from myrrh, myrrh, as distilling in drops, and also as bitter, myrrh. See Hebrew myrrh. Myrrh, as distilling in drops, and also as bitter, myrrh. S212 PS 45:8, 9 Pro 717, Mary, rebellion, 3, rebellious, 16, rebellious man, 1, rebellious ones, 1, rebels, 1. From Mara, bitterness, i.e., figuratively, rebellion, concretely, bitter, or rebellious, bitter, most, rebel, lion, lius. At Mary, rebellion from Mara, bitterness, that is, figuratively, rebellion, concretely bitter, or rebellious, bitter, most, rebel, ion, lius, rebel 19, rebellious 9, provoke 7, disobedient 2, against 1, bitter 1, changed 1, disobeyed 1, grievously 1, provocation 1, rebels. Disobedience, Jerome, inobedientia, obstinacy, and in the N.T. particularly obstinate opposition to the divine will, those who are animated by this obstinacy, see upsilon, 2, used of the Gentiles. Mar, or, fem, mara, mora. Adj 1, bitter, bitterness 1a, of water or food 1b, of harlot's end of wickedness, cry, figure, 1c, of pain, subst, adv 2, bitterly. Nasb bitter, 15, bitter thing, 1, bitterly, 4, bitterness, 11, discontented asterisk, 1, embittered, 1, fierce asterisk, 2, great bitterness, 1, greatly distressed, 1. Kima, kaima, or, chima, kaima. 1, heat, rage, hot displeasure, indignation, anger, wrath, poison, bottles 1a, heat 1a1, fever 1a2, venom, poison, figure, 1b, burning anger, rage. Av, fury 67, wrath 34, poison 6, furious 4, displeasure 3, rage 2, anger 1, bottles 1, furious, plus H 1167 1, furiously 1, heat 1, indignation 1, bizarra, idolatry, cachophonet, sorcery, witchcraft, ivet, enmities, mariva, strife, kina, jealousy, roges, anger, anakayat, selfishness, mashalokat, dissensions, katot, sex, pharmacy, n. Late 14c, pharmacy, a medicine that rids the body of an excess of humors, except blood, also treatment with medicine, theory of treatment with medicine, from Old French pharmacie a purgative, 13c, and directly from medieval Latin pharmacia, from Greek pharmakia a healing or harmful medicine, a healing or poisonous herb, a drug, poisonous potion, magic, potion, dye, raw material for physical or chemical processing. This is from Pharmakius, Fem. Pharmakes, a preparer of drugs, a poisoner, a sorcerer from pharmakon a drug, a poison, filter, charm, spell, enchantment. Beeks writes that the original meaning cannot be clearly established, and the word is clearly pre-Greek. The ph was restored 16c. In French, 17c. In English, cph. Buck, selected Indo-European synonyms, notes that words for poison, apart from an inherited group, are in some cases the same as those for drug. In addition to the Greek word he has Latin venenum poison, earlier drug, medical potion, source of Spanish veneno, French venin, English venom, and Old English lybb. Meaning the use or administration of drugs is from c. 1400. The sense of art or practice of preparing, preserving, and compounding medicines and dispensing them according to prescriptions is from 1650s. The involvement with the occult and with drugs, in feuding, fighting, becoming jealous and getting angry, in selfish ambition, factionalism, intrigue. NAS, idolatry, sorcery, enmities, strife. KJV, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, INT, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife. Pharmakia, the use of medicine, drugs, or spells. Usage, magic, sorcery, enchantment. 5331 Pharmakia, from pharmakiuo, administer drugs, properly, drug-related sorcery, like the practice of magical arts, etc., A.T. Robertson. From pharmakias, medication, pharmacy, i.e., by extension, magic, literally or figuratively, sorcery, witchcraft. The word potion has its origins in the Latin word potus, an irregular past participle of potar, which meant to drink. This evolved to the word potionem, nominative potio, meaning either a potion, a drinking or a poisonous draught, magic potion. In ancient Greek, the word for both drugs and potions was pharmaka. To cover, used only as a denominative for mainen, to cloud over, figuratively, to act covertly, i.e. practice magic bring, enchanter, meonomen, observe, are of, times, soothsayer, sorcerer. Neither shall ye use enchantment, nor observe times. Your dreamers about your soothsayers about your sorcerers. To practice divination, kasem, to practice divination, original word, part of speech, verb transliteration, kasem, phonetic spelling, kasam, definition, to practice divination. Conjure, 1, divination, 2, divine, 2, diviner, 2, diviners, 7, divining, 1, practice, 1, practiced, 1, use, 1, uses, 1, utter, divinations, 1. To distribute, i.e. determine by lot or magical scroll, by implication, to divine, divine, are, Asian, prudent, soothsayer, use, divination, divine unto me, by the familiar spirit, int, said conjure spirit and bring. And he said, conjure up for me, please, int, night said conjure spirit. Isaiah 3 verse 2 HEB, NAS, and the prophet, the diviner and the elder, KJV, and the prophet, and the prudent, and the ancient, int, the judge and the prophet, the diviner and the elder. NAS, making fools out of diviners, causing wise men, KJV, of the liars, and mocketh diviners mad, int, the omens of boasters of diviners making to draw. And her prophets divined for money. And the prophets thereof divined for money, int, prophets money divine on the Lord. Observe signs. Nachash, to practice divination, observe signs, original word, part of speech, verb transliteration, Nachash, phonetic spelling, nakash, definition, to practice divination, observe signs, practice fortune telling, take as an omen. Divination, 1, divined, 1, enchantments, 1, indeed practice divination, 1, indeed uses, 1, interprets omens, 1, practice divination, 1, took as an omen, 1, used divination, 2. To hiss, i.e. whisper, a, magic, spell, generally, to prognosticate x certainly, divine, enchanter, use, x enchantment, learn by experience, x indeed, diligently observe, sorcery. Kashaf, kashaf, to practice sorcery, original word, part of speech, verb transliteration, kashaf, phonetic spelling, kashaf, definition, to practice sorcery, sorcerer, use witchcraft. A primitive root, properly, to whisper a spell, i.e. to enchant or practice magic, sorcerer, use, witch, craft, 1, peel, to practice witchcraft or sorcery, use witchcraft, 1a, sorcerer, sorceress, participle, a primitive root, properly to whisper a spell, that is, to enchant or practice magic, sorcerer, use, witch, craft. A. Ashif, a conjurer, necromancer, original word, part of speech, noun masculine transliteration, Ashif, phonetic spelling, Ashshaf, definition, a conjurer, necromancer. Engraver, writer, magicians. Chartum, an engraver, writer, original word, part of speech, noun masculine transliteration, chartum, phonetic spelling, cartome, definition, an engraver, writer, chartum, cartome, from the same as charet, from a primitive root meaning to engrave, 1, an engraving tool, stylus, chisel, graving tool, 1a, graving tool, 1b, stylus, charet, 354d, from an unused word, engraving tool. Stylus, NASB, graving tool, 1, letters, 1. A horoscopist, as drawing magical lines or circles, magician. 1. Diviner, magician, astrologer. 1a, engraver, writer, only in derivative sense of one possessed of occult knowledge. A. Shirtum equals bearer of sacred words. Chi alpharo, speak plus tum, hidden equals teller of hidden things. Secretly privately, transliteration, lat, phonetic spelling, lot, definition, secrecy, mystery, secret, incantation properly covered, that is, secret, by implication incantation, also secrecy, or, adverbially, covertly, enchantment, privily, secretly, softly. 1. Secrecy, mystery, enchantment. 1a, secrecy, secretly. 1b, mystery, enchantment. Av, enchantment. 3, softly. 1, secretly. 1, privily. 1, 6. Enchantment, related to lute, to wrap up, cast, wrap. Number 2. Pencil hex-shaped. The pen spells in cursive. He creation of a ritual circle is known as casting a circle, and there are many different techniques. Magic circles by the Song dynasty, 960 to 1279, Chinese mathematician Yang Hui, circa 1238 to 1298. It is the arrangement of natural numbers on circles where the sum of the numbers on each circle and the sum of numbers on diameters are identical. One of his magic circles was constructed from the natural numbers from 1 to 33 arranged on 4 concentric circles, with 9 at the center. But to those who are not trusting, the very stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Whatever you bind is asur, prohibited, on Haaretz will have been bound in Shomayim, and whatever you permit as muter on Haaretz is muter, permitted, in Shomayim. The same with their secret arts, and Pharaoh's KJV, did so with their enchantments, and Pharaoh's INT, the magicians of Egypt their secret was hardened heart. Asherah, H equals groves, for idol worship. 1. A Babylonian, Astarte, Canaanite goddess, of fortune and happiness, the supposed consort of Baal, her images. 1a. The goddess, goddesses. 1b. Her images. 1c. Sacred trees or poles set up near an altar. The most famous place of worship for the goddess was the grove of Diana Nemorensis, Diana of the Wood, on the shores of Lake Nemi at Erisha, modern Eritrea. Semnothioi were presumably Galatian priests. The Druids presided over human or animal sacrifices that were made in wooded groves or crude temples. Celts of Gaul, ancient Irish, the Galatians. The Druids believed the queen represented the goddess and the land. There is no documented evidence of human sacrifice in Ireland by Irish Druids, although it is well documented in Gaul, especially during times of crisis. Gauls of the province of Gallia Celtica called themselves Celti in their own language, and were called Galli in Latin. 4. Romans indeed used the ethnic name Galli as synonym to Celti. Our race was mighty once when at the head, wise men like steadfast torches burned and led, when Olam's law and royal Cormac's spell guided the gale, all things with them went well. And it is perfectly evident what the old nature does. It expresses itself in sexual immorality, impurity and indecency. 20. Involvement with the occult and with drugs, in feuding, fighting, becoming jealous and getting angry, in selfish ambition, factionalism, intrigue. 21. And envy, in drunkenness, orgies and things like these. If you say that someone has the gall to do something, you are criticizing them for behaving in a rude or disrespectful way. If someone's action galls you, it makes you feel very angry or annoyed, often because it is unfair to you and you cannot do anything about it. The serpent. False accuser, slanderer, Beelzebub, tempter, the wicked one, the accuser of the brethren, prince of the power of the air, an angel of light, king of Tyre, Lucifer, adversary, great dragon, that serpent of old. The god of this age. B. Topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the turquoise, and the emerald, and zahav. The agonist. In the fluorescence assay, 2 agonists, namely 1, veratridine and 2, yellow scorpion, Liurus quinquestriatus hebreus, venom, were used in combination. Veratridine is an alkaloid small molecule that promotes channel opening capture by inhibiting inactivation, and scorpion toxin is a natural preparation containing a peptide toxin selective for different subsets of potential open sodium channels. Snake venom phosphodiesterase 0030, Figure 8 depicts IFNP induction in antigen-presenting cells by CDN deuteriomers following treatment with snake venom phosphodiesterase. Phosphorothioates are a variant of normal nucleotides in which one of the non-bridging oxygens is replaced by a sulfur. One aspect of the present invention relates to methods of using engineered bacteriophages, where the bacteriophage has been engineered to express an antimicrobial peptide, herein referred to as AMP, to potentiate the antimicrobial effect of bacterial killing, i.e. eliminating or inhibiting the growth or controlling the bacteria, by natural antimicrobial peptide, AMPs, from frog skin, human sweat or ant's venom. In some embodiments of this aspect of the invention, a protein or peptide-based is any antimicrobial agent commonly known by persons of ordinary skill in the 8 and 12. 50 Hz electromagnetic field, alpha scorpion toxin, cockroach, bioelectrical activity. Background extremely low frequency, 50 Hz, electromagnetic field, ELF-EMF, is produced by electric power transmission lines and electronic devices of everyday use. Some phenomena are proposed as first effects of ELF-EMF, the discrete changes in the membrane potential and the increase of the calcium channel activity as well as the intracellular concentration of Ca2+. Interaction of the scorpion alpha toxin with the sodium channel depends on the orientation of the charges and may be perturbed by changes in the membrane polarization. Exposure to 50 Hz ELF-EMF modified the mode of action of the anti-insect scorpion alpha toxin liquid at cellular level of the cockroach nervous system and in biodists. Toxin appeared as a useful tool in distinguishing between the primary and the secondary effects of ELF-EMF. https It is not limited to a select few, but rather, there are countless valuable ideas waiting to be discovered by each individual. Different types of inspiration, including coming into mental attunement with others working on the same problem, tuning in on powerful thought forms generated in the past, and seeking inspiration from a higher source. Select a short verse at random. Read the verse through once. Read the verse line by line, repeating each line after. Read the first 3 lines together, then read the 4th silently. Say the 4th line aloud as the collaborator reads it silently. Repeat the exercise with another short poem or stanza. Continue the exercise for 15 to 30 minutes. States that elementals are different classes of beings in the desire world. Elementals are different classes of beings in the desire world, which is a realm of nature composed of 7 regions divided by relative density and other qualities. These elementals vary vastly in appearance, intelligence, and characteristics. They are generally classified under the heading of elementals, although they differ significantly from each other. The evolution of these elementals naturally belongs to the desire world, and they can be classified as good or bad, similar to human beings. Elementals can take possession of a person's dense body during their earthly life, especially if the person has been in the habit of invoking spirits. This possession can lead to irresponsible mediumship, immoral behavior, and even the takeover of the person's desire body after death. Elementals are also associated with spiritualistic phenomena, where they can be the originators of many of the phenomena observed. The word stoichian is not mentioned in the provided paper. The paper discusses attributes of the highest deity and the myth of the rending of Zakrus, but does not provide information about stoichian. The paper discusses attributes of the highest deity. It mentions the initiation of individuals in the Sabazius cult. The paper references the experience of Eliphaz narrated in Job 4. 13 ff. It discusses Paul's use of kroixa in Galatians 4. Hebrews believed that the stars were living beings. The writer of the book of Judges thought that stars were living beings. The stars were believed to fight in battle. The stars were believed to have influence and dominion. Marks should be undetectable without secret knowledge. Multiple marks should not interfere with each other. Marks should survive attacks without degrading the perceived quality of the work. Compression stage involves rounding coefficients and losing some precision. Streamlined coefficients are further compressed using Huffman encoding or similar. Hypothalamus is responsible for interpreting psychic phenomena. The hypothalamus is responsible for the interpretation of psychic phenomena and is related to the pineal and pituitary glands in perceiving extrasensory phenomena. Psychic phenomena transcend physical senses and cannot be directly analyzed. The hypothalamus is responsible for interpreting psychic phenomena. People can exercise mastery over the astral principle. Egyptian initiations aimed to bring conscious separation between physical and astral bodies. Absent healing is discussed. Psychic should be substituted for astral. Power of creation and manifestation. Inspiration is described as a lasting communion with the divine, allowing individuals to express the beauty and wisdom of the cosmic in their words and actions. The paper does not provide an answer to the query art. The word art is mentioned in the paper in the context of Joseph, the protagonist, being a painter and a realist. However, the paper does not specifically discuss the concept of art in relation to the query. The paper is about Hegel's philosophic explanation of divine existence and the union of subjective and objective realities. Hegel formulated the axiom that reason alone constitutes reality. Absolute truth is found in the union of the subjective and objective. Subjective corresponds to the concrete state of every being. Objective corresponds to the abstract state of every being. Draw an equilateral triangle inside a circle. Make sure the corners of the triangle touch the circle. Draw a line connecting the midpoints of two sides of the triangle. Extend the line to meet the circle. The distance between the midpoints is equal to the distance from the midpoint to the circle times phi. Divine proportion, phi, in art, including its application in paintings and buildings during the Renaissance period. It also mentions the use of phi in the proportions of the human face and body. Does not directly address the concept of creation. However, it emphasizes that reproduction is limited to transmitting life, not creating it. The Book of Job is considered the poem of initiation. Psychic functions of man refer to brain and nervous systems. Noetic effects are states of insight and deep comprehension. Discusses the concept of creative power and its connection to the universal creative force. It mentions that there is no limit to the possibilities of this creative power, but it does not specifically mention the term creative energy. Creating a genuine brotherhood is not possible based on human nature. Abstract propositions of religious faith cannot create true brotherhood. Mutual relief associations with stipends do not create genuine brotherhood. Xing Chuan uses the 5 elements of cosmology as a framework for its fighting system. The 5 elements are metal, wood, fire, water, and earth. Each element corresponds to a specific movement and striking/blocking technique. The combination of the 5 elements creates a set of combat techniques. Xing Chuan includes both empty hand forms and weapons forms. Posture, balance, and internal energy are emphasized in Xing Chuan. Great strength gradually comes. The celestial mechanism. The firing times of the lesser circuit of the sky. Combine physical and mental magnetism in your mind. Practice threading the 2 threads separately at first. Eventually, twist the threads together and pass them through the will needle. Step 1. Absorb extra nerve force from the atmosphere through special breathing techniques. Step 2. Develop and actively employ nerve force to influence others. Step 3. Combine nerve force with thought waves to create dynamic impact. Step 4. Project magnetism through mental pictures and the power of will. Step 5. Use stretching, twisting, and bending exercises to energize the body. Step 6. Energize the solar plexus by drawing in the abdominal muscles. The mental body is the vibratory rate through which we think and reason. Lower levels of the mental body are influenced by feelings. Higher levels of the mental body allow for abstract thinking and creativity. Capturing the psychological essence of natural power cultivation. Operating at higher levels of the mental body enables abstract thinking, creativity, logical reasoning, mathematics, and philosophy. The importance of cultivating a frank, open manner, having an earnest tone when speaking, and maintaining a firm handshake and eye contact. The art of influencing others through mental influence. The importance of autosuggestion and thought absorption. Practicing gazing into the eyes of others without embarrassment. Thought transference. The word dragon is mentioned in the paper in the context of the devil's symbol and its worship by Romanists in Poictiers. The Chaldean system also incorporated the concept of a mysterious sufferer, symbolized by the constellation the Kneeler, which represented the serpent crusher, further glorifying Nimrod's role in the defeat of evil forces. Hercules contains two bright globular clusters, M13, the brightest globular cluster in the northern hemisphere. The constellation the Kneeler symbolized the triumph over the serpent. Chinese dragon traditionally has 117 scales, with 81 scales being male and 36 scales being female. Step 1. Sensory withdrawal, sitting alone in a quiet place. Step 2. Relaxation response, focusing on breathing to relax. Step 3. Sensitivity to psychic impressions, cultivating and collecting qi. Step 4. Circulation of energy, being aware of the flow of energy in nature. Step 5. Balance, achieving physical and mental equilibrium. Step 6. Harmony, absorbing and reflecting energy to resolve conflicts. Step 7. Application, learning through practice, patience, and perseverance. Financial wealth and is commonly depicted as a golden dragon holding a pearl. Stellar elements. Increasing knowledge can help overcome prejudices and promote unity. Symbolism represents motion of the universe, life's cleavage, and spirituality. Symbolism of the dragon, which is often depicted as a hideous being representing evil forces. It is suggested that the dragon's appearance is a result of man's imagination and superstition, although it may have some resemblance to prehistoric reptiles. Overall, the dragon holds different symbolic meanings in different cultures. Wizard. Pursuit of knowledge and wisdom. Especially in times of uncertainty. One must be fully in control of their thoughts and heart. Knowledge is crucial in wizardry. Yada, to know. Original word, part of speech, verb. Transliteration, yada. Phonetic spelling, yada. Definition, to know. To know. To know. To know, learn to know. To perceive. To perceive and see, find out and discern. To discriminate, distinguish. To know by experience. To recognize, admit, acknowledge, confess. To consider. To know, be acquainted with. To know, a person carnally. To know how, be skillful in. To have knowledge, be wise. Niphel. To be made known, be or become known, be revealed. To make oneself known. To be perceived. To be instructed. Peel, to cause to know. Pull, to cause to know. Puel. To be known. Known, one known, acquaintance, participle. 1f, hiffle, to make known, declare. Hophel, to be made known. Hithpeel, to make oneself known, reveal oneself. Know a person carnally, of sexual intercourse. 1. A knower, one who has a familiar spirit. 1a. A familiar spirit, soothsayer, necromancer. Properly a knowing one, specifically a conjurer, by implication a ghost, wizard. Conjurers are individuals who immerse themselves in the study of magic and employ various techniques to harness supernatural powers and create illusions. What wizardry is, focusing on its basis in logic and knowledge. Spells in wizardry are based on logic. Elemental magic system is literal. Working rituals in the woods with minimal items, such as mistletoe. Deep slow breaths to absorb magical energy from the area. Wizard spells are based on logic and can be customized. Practice healing and drawing elemental energy before draining life. Stygian creatures from Styx lack sensation and can be bound to earth by necromancers. Enchanters use fire as active energy for healing and strength. Enchanters enchant jewelry with gemstone and metallurgical correspondences for healing. The power of fire is channeled into the enchanted ring for healing. Steps of initiation in the wilderness. The face of death is mounted on top of the wizard's wand. Death, shadow, darkness, and the undead. Necromancers have the ability to manipulate death essence and use it for various purposes. They can create ethereal spaces of heightened power called nodes and have the versatility to use their power in any way their imagination can comprehend. However, practicing necromancy comes with a cost. Necromancers often experience physical changes, such as their skin bleaching white, their cheeks becoming sallow, and their hands becoming twisted and bony. They also tend to have a secluded nature and may resort to draining the life force and energy of other magicians to fuel their spells and works of necromancy. In this system, fire, air, earth, and water are treated as actual elements with distinct properties and characteristics. Goal is to become familiar with the collection of elemental energy and learn personal techniques to control and manipulate each element. Each element presents its own challenges, with air being the easiest to control due to its ever-changing nature, and earth being the most resistant to manipulation. The term soothsayer refers to a person who claims to have supernatural powers and can predict the future or provide insights into unknown events. They were often associated with symbols like crooks or croziers, which were believed to enhance their mystical abilities. A crozier or crozier, also known as a paterissa, pastoral staff, or bishop's staff. Invocation is symbolically made through whistling, chirping, or trilling of birds. The term hiss is used in the translations. Properly, to hiss, i.e. whisper a magic spell, generally, to prognosticate x certainly, divine, enchanter, use, x enchantment, learn by experience, x indeed, diligently observe nachash. Phonetic spelling, nakash. Definition, to practice divination, observe signs. Practice divination, divine, observe signs. Certainly, divine, enchanter, use enchantment, learn by experience, diligently observe. Divine, learn by omens. Daily cycle and periods for each day of the week. The paper discusses a simple cycle of 7-year periods in human life. This cycle is observed by the ancients and used in mathematical and geometrical plans. The cycle has been proven to be in accordance with higher laws. The system is adaptable and can be used in personal and public affairs. Conscious apprehension of events is relative and fictitious. The system described in the book is not related to astrology. The progression of events does not require conscious time. The system can be applied to the organization and incorporation of a new business. The paper does not provide an answer to the query cause to know. The word cause is mentioned multiple times in the paper, but it is used in the context of cause and effect, not in relation to knowledge or knowing. The paper discusses concepts such as the existence of a cause for everything and the principle of cause. The word know is mentioned multiple times in the paper, but it is used in the context of intelligence, understanding, and learning. Techniques and abilities related to psychic energy, such as telepathy, psychometry, projection, and precognition. Concentrate your gaze on the center of the person's nose. Focus on the root of the person's attention. Maintain eye contact with the root of the nose while speaking.